The business of professional sports is an apex predator environment governed by one ruthless, unforgiving law. Leverage belongs exclusively to the entity that generates the revenue. In a hyper-capitalist corporate structure, you cannot bluff your way to the top. You cannot guilt-trip a syndicate of billionaires into handing over the keys to their franchise. And you absolutely cannot threaten to burn down a multi-billion-dollar empire when you are not the one holding the matches. For the past year, the militant, highly radicalized veteran leadership of the Women's National Basketball Association Players Association has been operating under a terrifyingly delusional assumption. They convinced themselves that they were the irreplaceable titans of industry. They believed that by demanding a 50% revenue split, guaranteed maximum contracts, and free housing, they could extort the ownership class into submission. They assumed that if they held the 2026 season hostage, the American public would stand in solidarity with their ideological crusade, and the owners would eventually panic. But the doomsday deadline has officially passed. The 2026 season is standing on the absolute precipice of a catastrophic, irreversible lockout. The owners did not blink. The owners called their bluff. And while the veteran establishment of the WNBA is currently locked inside a Manhattan hotel room, frantically realizing that they have completely overplayed their hand and alienated their entire consumer base, the actual future of women's basketball has effortlessly bypassed them entirely. Caitlin Clark is not sitting in a boardroom arguing over fractional percentages of gross revenue. She is not leaking passive-aggressive letters to the sports media. She is thousands of miles away, standing on a practice court with USA Basketball, systematically dismantling the union's entire leverage strategy with every single jump shot, every viral smile, and every highly marketable piece of content she casually generates. What we are witnessing right now is not just a basketball training camp. It is the most devastating, silent corporate checkmate in the history of modern athletics. The veteran establishment is completely, utterly powerless to stop it. If you want to understand the terrifying leverage shift that is currently giving WNBA union executives sleep paralysis, you must look closely at the high-definition footage emerging from this international training camp. This is not just practice tape. This is a psychological kill shot directed straight at the militant veterans holding the league hostage.
Doing some work in this clip. Check this out, man. Little side step, shooting it, knockdown. Hold on, let me change my angle. Y'all can't really see it that well. Let me change my angle a little bit. Look at that knockdown. One more time, Caitlin. Give it to him one more time. One more time. Side step. Come on, man. Smooth as a baby's.
Look at the absolute precision and the undeniable, effortless marketability of that single sequence. While the WNBA is suffocating under its own toxic, manufactured boardroom drama, Caitlin Clark is smoothly draining sidestep three-pointers in a pristine USA uniform, looking completely unbothered by the chaos unfolding in New York. This is the product. This is the billion-dollar asset that the WNBA union is currently threatening to lock out of the gymnasium. The union leadership desperately wants the daily media cycle to be dominated by their labor grievances. They want the public to view them as oppressed, underpaid laborers fighting a righteous, noble crusade against a greedy billionaire patriarchy. But the American sports consumer is actively rejecting that toxic narrative with extreme, undeniable prejudice. By flooding the internet with high-definition, highly positive content of Clark and the younger generation thriving in a drama-free environment, USA Basketball and TNT Sports are exposing the absolute absurdity of the WNBA's labor strategy. They are proving to the corporate sponsors, the massive global brands pouring billions of dollars into the sport, that the toxicity surrounding women's basketball is not systemic. It is entirely manufactured by a small, militant faction of WNBA veterans who refuse to accept that their era of cultural control is permanently over. The fans are looking at this footage and realizing a brutal, unforgiving truth. They do not need the WNBA to watch Caitlin Clark dominate. They have a massive global alternative, and that realization completely, instantly vaporizes the union's leverage. The structural breakdown of the WNBA union's negotiating strategy is entirely rooted in their inability to understand market substitution. They built their own parallel ecosystem last year with the unrivaled 3-on-3 league, desperate to prove they could draw a television audience without Caitlin Clark. That gamble ended in an embarrassing corporate disaster characterized by tanking television ratings, empty arenas, and severe, potentially career-altering injuries. The veterans played their trump card, and the market rejected them with extreme prejudice. Now contrast that absolute failure with the intensity and the elite, marketable product being built on the international stage by the next generation of superstars.
By Jackie Young. Nice. Oh! Hey, man. Angel took the big charge on that one, dog. I mean, that charge, she must have had the black card. Because that's a big charge right there. Kiki with the strong charge. Ooh, one more time. Hold on. Kiki with that. Ooh, oh my goodness. That was a serious charge, dog.
Listen to the sheer physicality and the raw, unfiltered competitiveness of that drill. Angel Reese steps in and takes a massive, bruising charge from Kiki Iriafen. The entire gym erupts. It is intense, it is elite, and it is entirely focused on the game of basketball. There are no labor lawyers in that gymnasium. There are no union executives whispering about housing allowances or fractional revenue splits. There is only the absolute peak of athletic competition. USA Basketball has successfully managed to isolate the actual engine of the sport, the elite young talent, and separate them entirely from the bitter, resentful politics of the WNBA old guard. The network executives at TNT Sports, who recently lost millions of dollars gambling on the veteran-led unrivaled league, have executed a massive corporate pivot. They abandoned the veteran experiment and bought the broadcast rights to these FIBA World Cup qualifiers, specifically and exclusively because it guaranteed them access to this exact young core. They know that the consumer does not want to watch a bitter labor dispute play out on Twitter. The consumer wants to watch the greatest young talents of their generation play the game at the highest possible level. While the future of the sport is building a global superpower in front of the television cameras, the militant veterans are executing a slow, agonizing corporate suicide in a closed-door meeting in Manhattan. You have to look at the exact timing and the specific personnel involved in these 11th-hour negotiations to truly grasp the magnitude of the union's failure.
Some news about the meeting actually commencing, right? So she stated on site at the Langham where the WNBA and WNBPA just began what's been described as a potentially pivotal meeting in CBA negotiations. WNBA leadership, Liberty owner Clara, WNBPA staff and counsel Brianna Stewart, Alicia Clark, Nneka, and Bree are among those I saw walking in. Now, I mean, she only saw one owner, so I don't think that necessarily means all the other owners aren't there. That's just who.
Pause and analyze the absolute absurdity of this corporate timeline. It is past the doomsday deadline. The season is in extreme jeopardy. The entire financial infrastructure of the league is teetering on the edge of collapse, and the union leadership waited until the absolute last possible second to actually sit in a room with Clara Wusai and the ownership group. This is not a display of high-stakes, dramatic corporate negotiating. It is a display of gross, catastrophic negligence. The union leadership had an entire off-season to finalize this historic deal, but they stalled. They played petty games, they waited 6 excruciating weeks to respond to league proposals, artificially compressing the timeline to create a false sense of panic. They treated a multi-billion-dollar corporate negotiation like a high school debate club, assuming that the owners were desperate and would eventually come crawling back with a blank check. They fundamentally failed to realize who they were dealing with. Clara Wusai and the billionaire ownership group do not sweat. They are backed by the multi-billion-dollar empire of the NBA. If the 2026 season is canceled, the owners simply lock the gymnasium doors, cut the players off from their paychecks and their health insurance, write off the temporary loss on their corporate taxes, and focus entirely on the massive billions of dollars profit margin of the NBA playoffs. The players, however, live in the unforgiving reality of the working-class economy. Over 80% of the WNBA is currently unemployed, waiting to sign contracts under a new CBA that does not exist. If the season is canceled, the middle-tier veterans will instantly default on their mortgages. Sitting in that room staring across the table at billionaires who simply refuse to blink, the reality of their impending financial doom finally set in. And right in the middle of this chaotic, disorganized corporate failure, the actual face of the sport delivered the ultimate devastating kill shot. While the WNBA union is desperately trying to extort the league for a larger slice of the pie, Caitlin Clark just proved to the entire world that she owns her own bakery.
Look at this.
Be smart. Or 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card.
Someone say 3?
Caitlin, she lives for the 3s.
From way down the counter.
Oh, no cheese?
3 scoops? She scores.
Is that pistachio? Uh-oh, she's here. Oh!
Splash.
Y'all see it? Oh! That's it.
Splash.
My face is not a backboard. Be smart.
Hey man, can y'all let me?
This is the Madison Avenue reality that is currently giving the WNBA union executives absolute nightmares. You are watching Caitlin Clark star in a massive, nationally televised corporate advertising campaign for Capital One, acting alongside established Hollywood legends and NBA icons. This is not a local car dealership commercial. This is the absolute zenith of corporate American marketing. Capital One, Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, these multi-billion-dollar corporate titans are bypassing the WNBA entirely to partner directly with Caitlin Clark. This completely destroys the union's entire leverage model. The WNBA players actually believe that if they cancel the season, they will inflict maximum financial pain on everyone involved, forcing the establishment to bow to their demands. But they are completely blind to the fact that the Caitlin Clark economy exists entirely independent of the WNBA collective bargaining agreement. If the WNBA forces a lockout and burns the 2026 season to the ground, what happens to the militant veterans? They lose their paychecks, they lose their relevance, they fade into complete obscurity, financially ruined by their own hubris. What happens to Caitlin Clark? Absolutely nothing. If the WNBA shuts down, Capital One still runs her commercials during the NBA playoffs, Nike still sells her signature shoes across the globe, she still dominates the international stage on TNT Sports with USA Basketball, she still cashes her 8-figure multi-year endorsement checks, perfectly insulated and entirely protected from the financial devastation of a WNBA lockout. Clark holds the ultimate unbeatable leverage because she is the only entity in this entire corporate ecosystem that actually possesses a viable, highly lucrative alternative. She does not need the WNBA to survive or thrive. The WNBA desperately, existentially needs her just to keep the lights on. The veteran leadership of the WNBA tried everything in their power to break her. They tried to physically intimidate her with flagrant fouls during her rookie season. They tried to diminish her historic, record-breaking accomplishments in the press. They tried to launch bad faith investigations into her fan base, and when absolutely none of those tactics worked, they tried to hijack the collective bargaining agreement to hold her massive economic impact hostage. But you cannot hold the ocean hostage. Clark simply flowed right around them. She bypassed their toxic, decaying political infrastructure and stepped gracefully onto the global stage. And she did it with a level of public relations mastery that the veteran establishment could not even comprehend.
The first feeling going to be like suiting up for the senior national team?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Like, as a kid, this is what you grow up watching. So obviously I've watched a lot of really great players, and now I think it's kind of like going to be a pinch me moment. Like, this is kind of what you dream of, and obviously as being somebody that's played for 3 junior national teams, you know, not many kids that had that opportunity get this opportunity, so just super grateful.
Surreal. Even just holding the flag on my shoulders today was, I couldn't even describe the feeling, so I'm just super excited to represent our country and to play with some amazing women.
Listen to the profound, untouchable brilliance of that public statement. She calls it every kid's dream. She expresses deep reverence for the opportunity. She acknowledges the journey, positions herself as the humble student of the game, and projects absolute, unshakable professionalism on the biggest stage in the world. By taking this exact public stance, Clark is actively destroying the final, desperate narrative of the WNBA veterans. The militant, old guard desperately wants to paint Clark as entitled. They want to paint her fans as toxic. They want to position themselves as the noble defenders of the sport's history. But Clark refuses to play the villain. she refuses to engage in the mudslinging. She steps in front of the international media and acts like a consummate, respectful professional. And by doing so, she makes the WNBA union look like exactly what they are: a chaotic, disorganized, petty mob fighting over scraps, leaking passive-aggressive letters, and actively sabotaging their own sport simply because they are deeply, pathologically jealous of a 24-year-old point guard. The owners are watching all of this unfold. Clara Wusai and Adam Silver are watching the union completely destroy its own public goodwill. They are watching the fans declare that they no longer care if the WNBA plays its season or not, because they can simply watch Caitlin Clark play for Team USA instead. Because the owners know the public has an alternative, they have absolutely zero incentive to concede a single fractional inch to the union's demands. The billionaires will slide a final, brutal, non-negotiable term sheet across the table in Manhattan. They will demand absolute capitulation from the union, take the transformational pay raise, accept the historic victory, or go stand in the unemployment line while Caitlin Clark takes her millions of loyal fans and her billion-dollar economy to the international stage permanently. The manufactured illusion of veteran sisterhood has been completely annihilated by the brutal, unforgiving reality of the free market. The old guard tried to play high-stakes corporate chess with a once-in-a-generation talent, and they just realized, in front of the entire world, that they are not even sitting at the right board. I want to hear from you. Drop down into the comments right now. Is Caitlin Clark intentionally dominating the USA basketball stage to prove to the WNBA veterans that she holds all the actual power in the sport? Did the militant union leadership completely destroy their own leverage by failing to realize that corporate America is backing Clark, not the league? And if the WNBA forces a lockout and cancels the 2026 season, will you simply watch USA basketball and ignore the WNBA completely? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you want the unapologetic, aggressive truth about the cutthroat business of sports, the high-stakes leverage games played in corporate boardrooms, and the stories the mainstream sports media is absolutely terrified to cover, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video everywhere. We do not do sanitized public relations narratives here. We expose the raw, bloody reality hiding in the shadows. Stay sharp. I will see you in the next one.